basically, you guys, what happened is these corporations were given another bailout, just like in 2008, but much worse this time, considering we have a pandemic to add to it.
Mm-hmm.
The Senate passed a bill called the Corona Stimulus package, but it was basically a bailout for corporations, a handout, actually, more even than a bailout, a handout to corporations like Boeing. Of course, it was just crumbs for working class people. So let's go over that. Senator Chuck Schumer on Sunday on Capitol Hill said, quote, "Like all compromises, this bill is far from perfect." And the Democrats also said, according to the New York Times, they embraced a Republican plan to provide $1,200 in direct payments for workers with incomes up to $75,000 per year before phasing out and ending altogether for those earning more than $99,000. Families would receive an additional $500 per child. The problem with that is, and I'm going to go over it, this is dependent on tax from the year before. And that can be problematic because you might have shifted in what you earned. You might have things due, whether it's like a loan or something. So you might not necessarily get the full $1,200. And another thing is, if you've been laid off and you're out of work, you're telling people that you're not going to give them anything if they make more money than $75,000 a year. So all those people that are okay in the middle class are still going to need some sort of help, because now all their bills are backed up, their utilities, their credit card bills, and their rent and their car payments, so on and so forth. So it's not like it's not going to affect them unless they had something saved in the bank. And what we know about the state of America before the pandemic, the majority of people didn't have more than, $1,000 saved in the bank account. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
So it doesn't go well enough in this.
So you're talking about 2018, which you made in the fiscal year. So if you made a lot more than $99,000 or $75,000 for your household, and now you're not making that for whatever reason, I heard there's provisions in the bills you can apply, but once again, it's the hula hoops you have to jump through to get the money.
Meanwhile, time passes.
Yeah, time does pass. And let's not forget, this is a $1,200 one-time payment. So it's not every month.
After that, you're screwed if you don't go back to work, or if you don't have, your job doesn't hire you back, because we're going to see a lot of small businesses go under because of what they're doing. And this agreement also includes $350 billion that would establish lending programs for small businesses, but only for those that keep their payroll steady through the crisis. Small businesses that pledge to keep their workers would also receive cash flow assistance structured as federally guaranteed loans. If the employer continued to pay workers for the duration of the crisis, those loans would be forgiven. So here's the problem with that. Now you're asking these businesses to take out loans. You're not giving them aid. You're asking them to take out loans. You can push it any way you want, but that's what you're doing. And you're only going to help them if they put their people to work. And Donald Trump is talking about ending the quarantine early, which is going to put people to work earlier. Going to, of course, be a health hazard, obviously, during a pandemic. And so you're basically holding people hostage, not just like the working class, but the small businesses. Mm-hmm. By saying, okay, well, you got to work for me, Pasta, because if you don't work, then I don't get help from the government, and then my business goes under. So it's just a set of events, and then Pasta can come back and say, well, I don't want to work because I don't want to risk my life or your life, because I don't know what's going on with this virus, and we're no longer in quarantine, but people are still going to get sick and so on. So what's happening right now is actually a disaster.
Yeah. So what they're saying, these loans will be forgiven. A lot of these loans for the small businesses will eventually be written off, and the person has to give it back. But that's the point where it makes everybody kind of cautious and saying, well, what should we do? Even my old bosses are calling me from my old job saying, well, what's going on, Pasta, with this here? Because we're not sure if we want to take out a loan or use a loan, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because we don't know what strings will be attached to it, what comes, you know, what things come into place for us to get the loan, and what will we be held accountable to pay it back. Yes, the thing you talked about when it comes to the working situation, which we're going to get more into right now, because this is really kind of fucked up from what we said the other day in our show with Donald Trump already saying kind of like, let's get people working back into the economy. It's a sign that says that him, along with the Democrats and the Republicans, are like, they don't want to bail us out or put us on pause, put the economy on pause and take care of themselves. They'd rather put our health at risk and put us back out into the workforce. And that's why this is indicative of this bill they put forth, because they're showing you it's a one-time payment. So they plan to throw us back out to work right away.
Absolutely. And it's a $2 trillion deal, you guys. And a couple other things that are on it. The unemployment insurance on steroids.
Yes.
So Schumer announced Monday afternoon that the unemployment insurance will be expanded to grapple with a new surge in claims, calling it unemployment insurance on steroids. The new bill will increase unemployment insurance by $600 per week for 4 months. This money in addition to what states pay as a base for unemployment salary. The benefit would extend to gig economy workers, freelancers, and furloughed workers who are still getting health insurance from their employers but are not receiving a paycheck. So this one's important. And guess who pushed for that? Bernie Sanders is the one that slipped that one in there, specifically because of the gig workers, the waitresses, the bartenders, all those people, and the people that, you just need to take into consideration that insurance is a big deal, because a lot of people pay like $400, $500 a month on insurance because of their employer. And so, the minute that ends and your insurance ends, and then it's entirely.
They also did it for independent contractors in there as well.
Yep.
Because that's the stage I will go into. But once again, this is not as good as a UBI, just handing it out to everybody. This is
at all.
Really what we needed to do was put the economy on pause, because now we're going to overload the unemployment system. There's going to be hula hoops. There's going to be reasons that, they say why they can delay your payment. This is not good. So, I mean, even though there are certain things, once again, that help out the situation where they were able to throw people in the gig economy in, it's still not the course of action or the direction we should be taking.
There's a picture of the economic stimulus bill, pretty much summarizes $1,200 for most adults, like we said, $500 per child, 4 months of unemployment insurance instead of 3.
Oh, that was the big thing Chuck got. The extra month.
$130 billion for hospitals. But look at these numbers: $130 billion for hospitals, $150 billion for state and local governments, $350 billion for small businesses, and $500 billion for corporations. Some of these corporations who don't even need it. In reality, the stimulus bill represents something else. Yeah. In reality, this means that we're not going to have money for months or however long it takes. Because right now they're saying late April. Because it's a one-time payment. And it's a one-time payment, so you have to make due for April 1st. Yeah. And after that, you may get the $1,200 maybe.
Here's the big one.
And it's a one-time. There's no rent or mortgage freeze.
Okay, so all that money we get, where's it going to go, fam?
Right.
It's going to go to all the essentials, all the bills that we need to pay, and then we're going to have nothing left over. We're going to be working from behind once again. So once again, the American, the worker, the middle class, the everyday, the 99% get zero, bupkis, ugats, okay? And we're supposed to be practicing social distancing. All right, so if we just would pause, put the economy on pause, no rents, no evictions for 3 months, let's fucking make everybody stay at home. Let's make sure we get this thing under containment. Because is it under containment, fam? Because this is the part I'm really confused about. I'm not a doctor. You're at least a TV doctor. You can help me out here. But it seems like what I see in Italy and Spain and other places, this shit is still going on. And we should still be staying in our houses. Yep. So why is it so hard for us and our leaders to give us the proper resources to pause for 90 days?
Well, because the economy is more important than your life. And they think, and they're dumb because they think, and I'll talk about this in a minute, but they think that restoring the economy by giving bailouts to corporations is going to happen. And that's not the case. So the small businesses, of course, are going to start being shut down, because even with these loans, people aren't going to be able have the income to go out to these small businesses and shop for clothes and, go to restaurants. People are going to be like unable to feed themselves in that way. Then the corporations will be fine, and they're going to force people to work for them. And so that's kind of what they want here. They want people to work for corporations, small businesses to be pretty much pushed out of existence. And there's not going to be enough for hospitals, because if you look at the numbers, the amount that they gave to hospitals is nothing compared to the amount that they gave the corporations. And really what we should be putting more money in are the hospitals, like the equipment, like what Bernie said just now. when he was talking about the coronavirus, where, you know, we would have these independent private companies pretty much start building masks, building respirators, building things for people who need them, beds. Building hospitals. We're gonna talk about how other countries are doing this. Other countries are building hospitals, and you know, we can't even be bothered to do that.
And here's the thing too: Donald Trump was just on. He had his press conference, and he was saying that they were testing more people than any country at any time at a higher rate, whatnot. So his information going out is there. The Democrats' information is out, is going here. It's all fucking shit all over the place. Meanwhile, at the end of the day, all I really cared about was having a pause in the economy, a pause in all collections for 90 days. Pause. Hey, phone companies, you're going to pause for 90 days. You're not going to fucking collect things for 90 days. We're going to cut you some type of whatever from the government, but you're not going to collect that money for fucking 90 days because people need it for other things. Hey, rents, evictions, we're going to pause 90 days, okay? We're going to have people stay at home. We're going to get this under control. And after 90 days, we're going to do what Rashida Tlaib, suggested. We're going to give people a little bit of leeway to get back in a comfortable way where they won't have to worry about being evicted, how they put food on the fucking table. But we can't even do that.
Nope.
We can't even do that.
And not having enough hospitals or enough equipment is going to get more people sick. It's going to be crowded. If you have another issue, you can't even go to the hospital now. If there's an accident, if there's an earthquake, we're going to be screwed. And the fires that are coming with the heat. And of course, the workers are going to be forced to return to work. So the virus is going to spread. And then eventually we're just going to have dead poor people and dead old people, right? Yeah. Because if you think about it, they're the older people are most vulnerable. That doesn't mean that younger people aren't getting it. I'm hearing reports of a lot of people between 25 and 45 being in the ICU. And that's the thing. You may not die, but look at all the money that's going to cost you, because that's not covered under our system. Bernie Sanders just said that it's not covered. We don't have enough tests yet. This is all one giant big mess. Rashida Tlaib had a response to this because obviously her plan is
Boost
different.
Act.
So she said, "Dear Senators, our residents needed help weeks ago. So to settle for a one-time payment rather than reoccurring payments leaves our neighbors too vulnerable in this uncertain times. We must be more aggressive and help people monthly until this crisis ends." So of course she's pushing for a reoccurring thing. And she also spoke later on about the water and how that's not being covered for people because she's in Michigan.
Yeah, well, we had that situation in Lake Worth. There were people, had to pay their last water bills, their electrical bills before shit gets turned off. And it really is it's a shame. It's a shame. We talked about this. At what point do you say, all right, this guy's the fucking president. We got to work with him. We got to get something done.
I don't think they're not trying to get something done. I just think it's not just even Trump. It's Mitch McConnell. It's a lot of the Senate Republicans. And then, of course, people like Nancy Pelosi.
At what point do we start building those bridges? I mean, at what point do we start saying?
You can't build bridges for people who don't want to build them, though. Like, how are you going to build bridges with Mitch McConnell when he doesn't want to give people money? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, there's a point. I mean, I think Trump was actually on the right track, but I think the Senate were the ones that got him off it. And Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, they're useless. Yeah. They're useless. They don't want to give people money either.
But that's the problem, is that when you stand behind a Democratic Party, I don't even say you have to stand behind it, but this whole kind of like reformation where you have to reform the Democratic Party because it's the only way to exist, it's going to be an uphill battle, because then you're carrying the luggage of half your fucking party that's against what you're fighting for, actually.
Right.
It's like Joe Biden's going to be, they're pushing him to be the nominee when he's against Medicare for all and against the Green New Deal. So it's like half the party within each other is just fucking fighting, and it just leaves you out to dry to look responsible for their shit. At what point do you just say, hey man, no matter what, we just got to rage against our own machine, and that is it? I don't know.
I don't think that these people care, because they're okay. So let me put it bluntly: there are people that don't care if people die, and they're not going to change their mind no matter what we do or say. So it doesn't matter how much they like Bernie or Rashida want to work with them. They literally don't want to give people money. They just don't. They don't care if people die. We are expendable to them. What matters is the economy, and that's how they're
people
how they're
will care if
this.
It's their own constituents, their own votes dying. In a situation like this, no, if they're going to lose their seat, they're going to lose their job. That's it. And we don't know that. Once again, we're projecting that 100%. No matter what, whoever's making that decision, you're forced to always go and try to deal with that person who's in charge of making that decision.
But these people,
there's nothing you can get away from.
But they haven't been held accountable for anything, Pasa. They haven't been held accountable for anything. So it's not like
nobody has been held accountable for anything in Congress, the left or the right. Nobody. So, it doesn't make a difference if they're not held accountable. If they're still making the decisions, you're going to still have to try to go and work with them no matter what. And you should never stop trying to work with them. Because at the end of the day, if they're making a decision, that's it. They're making the decision.
Right.
You're obligated to work with those people if you want to get something
what I'm
for your
saying
team.
is, what if those people don't want to work with you? That's what I'm saying. And that's what I think is happening.
You never stop trying. You have to continue
Meanwhile,
start
people
trying.
die. I mean, I think there needs to be more aggressive measures of, okay, if they're not going to approve this, we're going to somehow defy it in a certain way. And it might take
it didn't work this last 4 years, I'll tell you that much.
It might take the people doing it. So Bernie Sanders' reaction is, unless Republican senators drop their objections to the coronavirus legislation, I am prepared to put a hold on this bill until stronger conditions are imposed on the $500 billion corporate welfare fund. And he said, it says right here that he was reacting to it, and he's willing to place a hold over it. And here's the thing: the problem with not passing a bill right away is people don't get anything, right? But the problem with passing something like that is that becomes the standard, and then we just get it one time, and then it's going to be really hard to actually fix anything. Now, I don't know if they could pass something new that says, okay, we're going to add a monthly thing to you guys after. But what Bernie Sanders is really upset about, obviously, is the pretty much corporate handouts, the welfare that we're giving to these corporations, and the abysmal sum that we are giving to the people, because we don't have money for them, but we have money for these corporations. And that's what Bernie Sanders is getting at. What we have to remember as working class and middle class people, we drive this economy. If we don't go out to eat, if we don't go out and spend money, if we don't participate in the economy, it's going to fail. And that's what they're so dumb. They don't see that. They think that we're going to give money to corporations and it's going to be fine. But if you don't give people money, they're not going to participate in the economy, and your economy is going to go to shit.
Yeah.
And that's what these people are so arrogant that they don't see.
Well, they're already starting to take desperate people, and they know people are going to be desperate and go back to work, and they're going to take the desperate people to go run around their goods and services at a lower price, and they'll get away with it because they're not stupid. They also, I mean, they're naive and they're whatever. I mean, like I said, unless it's pitchfork time, they're going to continue on with their same fucking behavior. And that's it, is that, we got to get back to work to save fucking capitalism now.
Yeah.
That's their whole mentality. That's what Donald Trump, rather than worry about the safety and the well-being of fucking ourselves, human beings in general, we're going to risk everything and send people out to work early right now, instead of having a stay-at-home, social distancing period, which we can really get this thing under control. And once again, it's just here. It's fucking disgusting.
What I do recommend for people to do, if you can, is to really not go back to work if you can afford to not go back to work, as a form of protest, because we can't really go out and organize anything right now. But the reality is, if you stop participating in the economy and you refuse to pay anything, and you refuse, and some states have eviction protections separate from what the federal government is pushing. So doing whatever you can do to stop participating in the economy, maybe young people, maybe there could be like a fund for people who want to protest, because the only reason people don't protest is because they need money. And they need work, and they need, and they need things. So maybe, the progressive movement, or at this point, the revolutionary movement, because I think progressive has been co-opted as a term, can do something, can come together and actually, enact a sort of like protest to where we're not participating in the economy until we get something out of it.
Just think about a person who was like riding, Lyft and Uber and just behind on rent and all that stuff, and everything just stops all of a sudden. They got no more money. They got nothing. So now they're going to go out there, expose themselves. Once again, it's the poor people who have to go out and expose themselves. Now you have these delivery services that deliver in groceries and all this other food. But now you're going out, you're touching multiple things, you're in contact with multiple people, rather than do what we need to do, which is that pause. That just shows you how shitty our Congress is all around.